March 18, 2025, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency in the oil-rich state, suspending Governor Siminalayi, his deputy, and the State Assembly. This extraordinary intervention has sparked intense debate, raising fundamental questions about the balance between executive authority and democratic governance.
By this declaration, the Governor of Rivers State, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly state are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months.
Tinubu invokes Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution, which grants the President the power to declare a state of emergency when public order is under severe threat. While the President clearly has the constitutional power to declare a state of emergency when necessary, the contentious issue is whether he also has the authority to suspend a democratically elected governor, deputy governor, and state lawmakers. The political instability in Rivers State, fueled by the conflict between Governor Fubara and his predecessor, ex-governor Nyesom Wike, now Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, created a climate of uncertainty. The State Assembly, largely aligned with Wike, initiated impeachment proceedings against Fubara, while escalating security concerns in the Niger Delta further complicated the crisis. However, the decision to suspend elected officials raises serious constitutional concerns. The Supreme Court in Attorney General of the Federation versus Attorney General of Abuja State 2001 reinforced the principle of federal restraint in state affairs, emphasizing the necessity of upholding constitutional order even in turbulent times. Similarly, in Ladoja versus INEC 2007, the court stressed that the removal of a governor must strictly adhere to constitutional procedures, underscoring the sanctity of democratic mandates. The Wike-Fubara power struggle and political implications. The crisis finds its roots in the political dynamics between Wike and Fubara. Having been chosen by Wike in 2023 to succeed him, Governor Fubara's assertion of independence led to a sharp fallout, which led to escalated tension and hostilities, revealing the underlying fragility of political godfatherism in Nigeria. This conflict exemplifies the persistent challenge of excessive political influence by former office holders. The state lawmakers' inconsistent stance on their party allegiance further complicated matters, dragging the judiciary into an avoidable political mess. Could early intervention have prevented the crisis? A more proactive approach by the presidency could have mitigated this crisis before it necessitated an emergency declaration. There is a palpable perception across the country that Wike's actions had tested federal backing, emboldening him to openly boast about his ability to unseat Governor Fubara. Some are of the opinion that President Tinubu's previous attempt at reconciliation in December 2023, if well-intentioned and effectively executed, could have de-escalated the rift between the conflicting parties. Lessons from established democracies. Nigeria's federal system draws inspiration from the United States, where strict constitutional boundaries prevent the federal government from interfering with state officials' lawful duties. The 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution reserves powers not delegated to the federal government to the states or the people. In Prince versus United States 1997, the U.S. Supreme Court reinforced the principle that the federal government cannot compel state officials to act. Likewise, in Texas versus White 1869, the court emphasized that states retain sovereignty within the Union. Furthermore, in Youngstown Sheet and Tube Co. versus Sawyer 1952, the U.S. Supreme Court limited executive overreach by striking down President Truman's attempt to seize steel mills during wartime. Similarly, in Marbury versus Madison 1803, the U.S. judiciary established its authority to review executive actions, reinforcing the checks and balances essential for democratic stability. These precedents highlight the necessity of strong institutional frameworks to resolve political conflicts, Nigeria must continue to strengthen judicial oversight and legislative scrutiny to ensure executive actions remain within constitutional bounds. The judiciary will play a decisive role in determining the legality of the president's intervention. A landmark ruling on this matter will not only settle the immediate dispute but also shape Nigeria's jurisprudence on executive authority and state autonomy. Judicial independence remains the cornerstone of democracy, ensuring that no branch of government exceeds its constitutional limits. It is hoped that the judiciary will rise to the occasion. The path forward. Nigeria's democratic resilience depends on adherence to the rule of law and institutional independence. The Rivers State crisis underscores the urgent need for governance structures that prioritize democratic principles over individual ambition. Reconciliation and legal due process should be the primary means of conflict resolution, supported by judicial and legislative safeguards against executive overreach. While President Tinubu's intervention may have been driven by exigent circumstances, it must be part of a broader commitment to strengthening Nigeria's democratic institutions. Future crises must be addressed through constitutional mechanisms, ensuring that Nigeria's democracy remains robust and progressive.
People of the Fountain.